Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Jennifer Sears. I am an assistant professor of special education at the University of North Georgia in Dahlonega, Georgia. And I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about technology and give you some tips and tricks to make your lives as teachers a little bit easier. So let me go ahead, share my screen, and we will go ahead and we will get ourselves started. So this will be a little Tech 101, but also kind of some fun stuff that will help you. And I'm going to give you some great links and websites you can go to. So we're going to first talk about why we should use technology, then talk about some of what the value added is, and then where can you find the cool stuff. So why should we use technology in education? There are really a lot of reasons why we should use technology and how we can leverage our practice as educators by using more technology in the classroom. For our students with disabilities in particular, technology really levels the playing field for a lot of our students. We're able to add tools into our teaching that they can access. It increases their engagement. It increases what they're able to do within the classroom. And let's face it, over the past 3 years, I think we've learned a lot about technology. If anything good that we can talk about that came out of COVID is that we have more tech tools available to us as educators, as well as more sharing has happened. I think one of the things that personally I got most out of COVID was just the number of people that I can connect with as an educator. And really, technology really makes our learning easier. It makes it more interactive. And let's face it, it makes it more interesting. Now, I'm not advocating for giving every child an iPad and keep them on an iPad all day long. But what I will say is that what we can do and just raising that engagement for our students makes life so much easier for all of them. So what's the value added? Well, increased engagement is where I would start. When we use technology within our classroom, whether it's high-level technology or low-level technology, we just bring up that level of engagement for our students. They have something to do during the lesson. They're going to keep them active throughout that lesson. So it really helps us as educators to increase that engagement. For us as educators, and I will say for me personally, technology has helped me to improve my pedagogy, to become a better educator. What I can share with my students and what I have learned through the use of technology over the past several years really has been amazing. And let's face it, technology saves time, especially in this new world of artificial intelligence, which I will show you today some artificial intelligence that's meant specifically for education and to help educators in our lesson planning and in our development of what we're doing with students. It just saves so much time. Communication is another area that technology just has helped us so much to level that playing field. When I was first an educator and I was working in East Los Angeles, my first group of students, over 90% of my students, English was their second language. And for almost all of my students, their parents did not speak English at all. Well, as a person who doesn't speak any Spanish, having to figure out how to communicate with all of my students and with their parents was a big challenge for me. Well, now we have technology to help with that. We didn't have that 20 years ago, which doesn't seem that long ago. At least to me, it doesn't. For some of you, it does, because you were all very small at that time. But for me personally, it doesn't seem like that long ago that I was just starting to use technology for communication. And then finally, for our students with disabilities specifically, it helps to personalize their learning. And when we can personalize the learning of our students with disabilities, it just makes their lives so much easier. That in IEP, we can really bring out, but through the use of technology, universal design for learning, differentiated instruction, all of those things that you've learned about in all of your classes. And it really just levels that playing field. Well, whenever I talk about technology, really what people come to hear is where's the cool stuff? So I will be sharing this link with all of you. You'll have access to it, but I want to show you a small Google Doc that I have just recently started that I'm sharing with all of my students, but some really great tech tools that you can use. So you can scan the QR code there. You also can go to the website, but I'm going to bring you to the website right now. So this is called Dr. Sears Tech Tools. And I've tried to break it up into different areas for you. So reading, math, classroom management, planning, assessment. And then as you scroll down there, I'm going to show you some artificial intelligence as well as some influencers to follow. So this website here, Bouncy Balls, probably when I was showing it to my individual students last week, they probably thought this was the most fun. When you click begin bouncing, you will notice that as my voice gets louder, as I get closer to the computer screen, I have to turn on the microphone here, but you will see that it's too noisy. As it gets higher and higher and higher, you can change the theme here. So you can have eyeballs, really fun for this time of year because we're, kind of into the Halloween season, super fun. You can have bubbles, you can have numbers, how fun is that, especially for your little ones. You also can make it have a noise alert or a sound alert as you're doing the different pieces. So tons of fun, a really great tool for you to use within your classroom for that classroom management piece. As I mentioned, my students just 100% love that. They also really loved some of these math learning here. So academics is super fun. You can play all different kinds of learning grades games depending on the grade. This does go up through 6th grade, but when you have students with disabilities, sometimes they're working at a lower level, so you can choose that. Tons of different subjects, everything from shapes and counting to addition, subtraction, money. There's some language arts, there's spelling, there's even some typing and some geography. We were playing with the geography one last week in my class. But again, tons of games. What's really fun about this is the students can play games against other people, which is always a good time. You can see that you've got the top players in some different games. This is a free tool. I try and share a lot of free stuff because that's the cool stuff. Going along with academics that I find is really fantastic is a website called freerice.com. Free Rice is actually done with the United Nations and UNICEF. So when your students are playing games in Free Rice, rice is donated to UN World Food Programs around the world. So really kind of a cool way that you can be talking about social justice while also working on different skills with your students. Again, this is all game-based that you can do with your students as well. Let me go back here again. Make sure I'm sharing the right screen. I wouldn't want you to see the wrong screen, right? So I also want to share with all of you something that I think is super important. So Toy Theater is another one of my favorite websites. Found this during the pandemic. But when I say it has everything, it truly does have everything. Everything from math, reading, art, music, puzzles, games. But what is most important for me as a teacher, because I mentioned that time-saving piece, is these teacher tools. So all of these different tools that you see here are all interactive tools that you can use with students. So if you need a 2-counter whiteboard, and it goes ahead and you can talk about subtraction with this. So how many do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3. If we take away 2, then we have 1 left over. So we can clear the canvas whenever we want. Some other teacher tools I really like here are the place value charts, which are really fantastic for working on with kids. You've got shape counters, you've got 10 frames, graphs, there's play money from all around the world. So yay, CEC being all over the world. If you're in Canada, there is play money for Canada. There's also play money for the United States, play money for all different areas. Your timer is right here for you. It's got a classroom timer right here. Set your classroom timer. You're done. So that's toytheater.com. Again, all of these are linked here for you, but what you came here to see today is the AI, right? So let me show you EduAid AI. Probably my favorite to use, and I'm going to show you how EduAI works. I'm already logged in, so I can go up here and I'm going to launch it. So here is your workspace. With EduAI, you start with picking your subject. So I'm going to pick math, and obviously I have I'm going to say I have my middle school students. And what I want to do today is I want to do some planning. And I'm just going to do lesson seed here. And when you go down to the bottom, I need to type in some keywords. So I have to give some ideas of what we're working on today. So I'm just going to put exponents. And I'm also going to put order of operations. And when I click add to workspace, it's going to come up with some ideas for my lesson. It doesn't write out the entire lesson for you, but it gives you some cues. It gives you some direct instruction strategies. It's going to keep going. Gives you some activities to do, some formative assessments, some deep questions. So many great ideas. It also can give me some independent practice. So if I want to have some real world examples, I'm in math. I'm going to keep the same step here, add it to my workspace. And it gives me some word problems and some real world examples that I can use with my students. I highly recommend going and exploring this. You can gamify it. So if I want to do, let's say I want to do a Jeopardy game with my students, or let's do an escape room. Add it to my workspace. And once again, here's the Math Maze escape. Now, I'm not advocating for just cutting and pasting and putting this into lesson plans that you're writing currently, but there is so much that EduAid AI does. Once again, this is a free tool that is out there. You sign up for free. There are some, higher level pieces that this does, but you don't need much more than this. This is probably, as far as education is concerned, this is my favorite AI site to use. I find ChatGPT does a lot, but this is really based right in education. So highly recommend checking that out. I also want to point out some influencers and people to look out for. So Alice Keeler is one of my favorites. Alice Keeler has created a ton of really great Google extension tools that you can use in your classroom. So I highly recommend checking out Alice Keeler. The other person is Jennifer Gonzalez. Jennifer Gonzalez has created it's called the Teacher's Guide to Tech.com. This is $25 and well worth the $25 that she charges to get the amount that she has. A lot of my tech tools come directly from her because once again, smarter, not harder, right? A lot of what I've done in the past has come from her stuff. So you will have access to the Dr. Sears Tech Tools. I constantly am upgrading it and adding more stuff to it. So bookmark it, keep it. If you have technology tools that you like, would love to hear from you as well with some of the tools that you have found that are really helpful. So definitely check that out. I'm also going to give you a link here to Wipe Book, one of the newer tech tools that I've recently found and I'm just starting to use. If you click that link, you can be entered to win your very own Wipe Book. Wipe Book works just like a anchor chart that you would have in your classroom where you would have it up, but as you write on it, students can scan it and save it to their own notebooks, and it saves to a Google notebook. So if you have anchor charts you're using throughout the year, instead of cluttering your classroom, not cluttering, but having things up all over your classroom, now you have something that students can go back to. So really fantastic tool. So I just want to thank you all so much for your time today. I know this is short and sweet, and I like things short and sweet, but I think it'll take a lot of time to look through the technology tools that I've shared with all of you. But just know how much you are all appreciated for the work you are doing currently and the work you will do with students as you go into your teaching profession. If you want to contact me, here's my contact information. So my email address is there. If you want to join my Facebook group, Dr. Sears Resources, feel free to join my Facebook group. You can follow me on Twitter and on TikTok. My TikTok, I'm really just kind of getting started. It's not quite there yet, but working on it. And my students have decided that it needs to be more. So you'll start to see me sharing some technology tools on TikTok as well. But for today, thank you all for your time. Enjoy checking out some of those technology tools. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your semester, everybody. Bye.